Hello, dear ones. We have a very powerful, exalted full moon on November 27th. This is a full moon that will really help us manifest our heart's desires and really bring in that kind of security, wealth, love, and self-love that helps us to create something really sustainable here in the physical world that is really driven from our hearts. In this update, I'm going to share with you the energy about the full moon, all the aspects that are affecting it, and the remedies to overcome your stuckness, along with all the powerful ways that you can use this to create what's next for you. Hi, I'm Prema, and welcome to Chart Your Path. I'm so glad that you are here. The full moon on November 27th is at 10 degrees of Taurus in Vedic Astrology. This is in the nakshatra of Rohini, where the moon happens to be exalted. Now, the moon being exalted is really the energy of the queen in the Sacred Wealth Code system, which is really the divine feminine energy, the energy of the heart, of procreation, of fertility, and the ability to attract things to yourself. All men and women have masculine and feminine energy. It's also very emotional. Full moons they can really bring up our emotions. Moons represent our mind, our consciousness, and our emotional energy. And we can use our emotional energy in really practical ways to amplify our frequency, our vibration, and attract more of what our heart desires. Or we could be reactive to things, and sometimes our emotions can really throw us off course. Either way, we want to be able to process our emotions, be able to feel them, but they're like the weather and we need to move through them. So if you're feeling emotional during the full moon, no worries, breathe, take time to yourself and ground, because you will move through this quite quickly. Full moons are the energy of the sun being reflected, the leader, off of the moon. They're opposite one another, and the sun happens to be in Scorpio in Vedic astrology, the sidereal zodiac. And so this time of the full moon really allows us to illuminate, to see, shine the light of consciousness into the corners and see things maybe we didn't see before, things that we have started in the new moon cycle. And remember, with the new moon, beginning of the lunar cycle, then we hit the full moon, the midpoint in the lunar cycle, and then we want to make our adjustments. And that's why I always hold the healing circles, full moon sacred healing circles, on the full moon. We want to make those adjustments and then finish the cycle out before we start a new lunar cycle. So it really helps us to bring things clear. This full moon is supercharging our ability to attract the kind of love that our heart really desires, to recalibrate our self-love so that we can do that, and to create the kind of wealth that is really unique to us, because wealth is what you need to fulfill your purpose, and it's very different for each and every one of us. It's not just money, but it is money too. And this really opens the floodgates to allowing in more wealth. Most of the time, the lack of wealth that we're experiencing is that we are going after wealth that isn't really aligned with us, or we have our floodgates closed to wealth. We're saying no to the universe in some way, no to us, our soul blueprint, and we're not aware of how we are doing that. This is in the grounded sign of Taurus, and Taurus is so much about security and wants to build things to last. And it can be superficial on some levels, as far as, stuff and things and luxury and beauty, and those are all great. But we want to get to the heart's desires, and I will give you a practice for this at the end of our time together here on this update, so that you can really get to those desires and make sure that you are not following somebody else's desires or some programming, or what the collective is saying, or your parents or your spouse, or what you should be wanting, needing, and desiring. This is in Rohini. This is where the moon spends the most time out of all the lunar mansions, all the nakshatras, and where it is really at the part of Taurus that has the most fertility, the ability to really grow something. And the moon being so bright, so strong, and spending more time here on the full moon as it does, that this is really amplifying our manifesting, our conscious creation, as I like to call it, power. We need to know what our security is and what makes us feel secure. We want to create from a place of security, because if we're not creating from a place of security, we're creating from a place of lack. And when we create from lack, we just create more lack. So if you're in need, if you're looking at what you don't have as opposed to what you do have, and we just came through Thanksgiving in the Northern Hemisphere up in the United States, and a time of really giving thanks and really diving into our gratitude, and which is one of the great practices, and I'll give you a practice to amplify that, around really being secure, recognizing what you do have and not being so focused on what you don't have. But Taurus is our security. We want things to be grounded and solid, and and really bring things into the physical world, which we need, as well as the spiritual world. But we want to have it driven from our hearts. This gives us like the building blocks to build it here and now and fulfill those earthly desires. But again, like I said, we want to have them be aligned. Taurus wants to focus also on harmony, on beauty. And there's an energy behind that of contentment. Contentment is not being complacent. Contentment is where we really are happy as we are, and yes, more please. And that is the best vibration to be in when we are wanting to create more of what we want. Then we are feeling our peace, then we're feeling our freedom, but we're also in that creative energy to open up to what's new, what's more, what's next. Growing. This is a growing place. The financial part of this is that security and finances are connected in a big way, because money is the energy of exchange here in the times that we are living in. But you get to decide what makes you feel secure. And it's not always a dollar amount. You really want to also look at, and this full moon will give you the opportunity to see where you are in lack. It is here to shine the light in the corners, in the places in our soul, in our psyche, where we are not able to see all the time. And we need to come to terms with our self-worth. I think coming to terms with our self-worth is a lifelong process of our own evolution if we're awake and on the path, really realizing who we are, what our value is. How do we bounce that off the world around us and our inner world to really come to a personal truth about what our value is? It's important to see how far you've come. And again, this is where gratitude comes in. Self-love, when you really can honor yourself and the love that you want to receive from someone else, that you have that for yourself. And you find ways to have self-care practices and self-love practices. This is one of the things that really helps you to understand your worthiness. You get to choose how worthy you actually are. The world doesn't choose how worthy you are, although we absolutely, and this happens to all of us, if we're engaged too much in comparing ourselves, then we start to lose sense of what our worthiness is. And we're looking at somebody else's and thinking we should be like that, but we don't feel like that's really us. So we've got to block some of that out. And this full moon will give you an opportunity to sink deeper in really, your own personal worth, so that you do feel secure. So you are moving from a place of abundance instead of a place of lack. And this is exactly what we'll be working on in the full moon healing circle. And I'll be holding that on the 27th. If you aren't able to come live, then you can always get the recording, no matter if you're there live or after or use it many times. This will be an activation for your wealth, for the kind of love that really hits home in your heart, for creating what you want in the world and how you are fully expressed within that, and breaking through the things, the blocks, the programming, the hurts, the old traumas that are keeping you from that. So link is down below for that, and I really invite you to come and join me in the full moon healing circle. Owning your self-worth in this placement is activated. It's powerful because in Rohini, this is a nakshatra that it's very sexy, it's very attractive, it draws things to it. It is this sort of just natural energy of, when you have those days where you're just feeling on, you feel sexy in your own panties and you're just not concerned about anything or anyone else so much, and you do feel kind of like the world is your playground. Well, that energy is really potent here. And when we just step into that vibration, we are just attracting more of the like to us. So this is, again, a powerful placement for realizing your self-worth and for actualizing this kind of security, both in love and finances and in the material world, that lights your heart on fire. Rohini is ruled by Lord Brahma, the god of manifestation, and it's also called, this part of the sky is called the red one, and associated with fertility, creation, and growth, like we've been talking about, and desires from the heart. And so this gives this energy to draw things to us. And with this kind of fertile energy, we need light and we need moisture in order for seeds to grow. And that's the kind of fertile energy that we have in Rohini. So if you have been struggling with your value, this is a time to really open up to more and more of who you are. This full moon is also going to be aspected by Mars along with the sun in Scorpio. So Mars, being our honorable warrior, it owns Scorpio. It's its own placement, and the strategist is close to the sun, so it's combust. So it's not in its full power. And I just want to caution you on the day of the full moon, day before, day after, just be careful with those conversations in relationships, because it could be a little fiery, a little bit triggered around that. So just be a little bit careful. And also, Mercury is Gandanta on the day of the full moon, the 27th. And that means it's moving from Scorpio into Sagittarius, going through the Gandanta appointment. This is that place of drowning, the sort of karmic knots being untied. It's just one day. But if we just relax our communication and let the communication be with the divine and just open up to what's sifting and sorting and falling out, and we might really find ourselves coming to a deeper root of things. Now, the other transits, and then I'm going to get into the remedies, the other transits that are going on is Venus is going to be right with Ketu at the full moon, and then it's going to be moving into Libra. Now, the nodes of the moon, they're shifting into Virgo and into Pisces on the 30th. That'll all be in my December update, so stay tuned for that. But just this energy of Venus with Ketu can help us to just that final letting go of whatever we need to around relationships. And as it comes into Libra, our relationships are going to be feeling way more balanced, and we're going to be able to open up. So this is a great time for you to really recognize your own worth, as I've been talking about, so that as you step into relationship at the next level, and Venus will support you in that in the upcoming month, that you know your worth and you're not constantly looking for it from someone else. So on this full moon, the remedies here are to really see your gifts. If you know what your Sacred Wealth Code is, then you really want to dive into your Sacred Wealth Code Archetypes, really recognize your gifts, and what gifts are you here to step into more so. If you don't have your Sacred Wealth Code, of course, the link is down below and you can get yours. You can also take the Sacred Wealth Code quiz, and that quiz gives you one of your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes, and you can really understand what your gifts and what your shadow is, so then you know what you need to step into more of and what you're looking at letting go of. A perfect time to look back and see where you've come and appreciate yourself for how you have created, how you have owned your own gifts, used them, and stepped into your self-worth. Self-appreciation is also another act of self-care, not an easy practice, but listing like 1 to 3 things every day that you appreciate about yourself. Another way to really amplify your frequency. It's time to dream bigger. And Jupiter getting freed up in the heavens in Aries is really helping us to dream bigger. And sometimes our dreams, our visions are just not big enough, and they feel old and tired, and that makes us feel stuck. And again, that can detract from our self-worth and our sense of security. So is it time for you to create a new vision? Very important to do that. I will be bringing the 2024 update coming soon in my Divinely Aligned class, and that is a perfect time for diving into the vision for the next year. But right now, what is it around security and love that it's time for you to open up to more of? A bigger vision for yourself. It's time to recalibrate. Have you given up on yourself? And if you feel like you have in a way, and you're just in reaction, then again, this full moon gives you a very potent opportunity to take a step back, recalibrate into your gifts, tune into what it is your heart desires for you, and what makes you feel free, what makes you feel peaceful, what makes you actually feel abundant, and do some journaling about that. Drop into some meditation and really open up on this full moon. And again, I invite you to join me in the Full Moon Healing Circle. Really own your value at the next level, and you're ready to open up to what's next and clear out those beliefs, clear out those old traumas, but open up to more of what it is that your heart desires, and that will actually bring you the kind of fulfillment here in the physical world, but light your heart on fire at the same time. Please join me in the Full Moon Healing Circle. Again, the links are down below for that. And I really invite you to have this really transformative time with me. It's such a potent thing. It's one of my favorite things to do each month. Stay tuned in for the December update. It's right around the corner, and we've got a lovely month coming for us.